Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. After popular demand, we have decided to keep this show going. Just for Jonathan Root, though, because he's the one who asked the most. So, this is for you, John.
Hi, John.
How is everyone else doing?
We're a bit rusty. We're gonna brush off the old skill set and talk about some. We're gonna talk about the EV. And
the EV. There's only one of them.
Woo! It's been a minute, but I miss you guys. I'm nervous. The lights are on. My studio light is bright. I'm sweating. I'm nervous. We
missed about 80 subjects in the past couple months.
Okay.
Just 80.
Just 80.
46 of those 80s.
Go. I'm done. I'm done with you, Mike. Already. Been doing this for 30 seconds. I'm over it.
4680 is quite frustrating.
I'll tell you what's quite frustrating.
May I add? What's that?
Yeah, you know what?
The
I just want
beta?
to jump right into it. I am peeved of this earnings call talking about Cybertruck. You want to talk about frustration? I feel such a silly goose for drinking the Kool-Aid yet again, and I'm going to keep drinking it. But
we shouldn't have believed the techno king.
You can't believe the leakers. The leakers always subvert expectations.
Leaker's name is, what's his name? Elon Musk, I think. Was that his name?
Elongated
Musk. Yes.
I want to know your guys' theories, because my theory is Elon wanted to give a product roadmap update. Based on the context, people kept saying, no, they did give a roadmap update. And I'm like, no, they did not. The update is there is no update. To me, that doesn't count. To me, that, especially if the context is people asking about the Cybertruck, they're like, hey, can I switch my tri-motor to a quad motor and keep my place in line? Can I keep my $7,000 FSD? Genuine questions, and his response to those tweets was product roadmap update. So my thought process was, at that time, Elon was planning on updating us. And then as the earnings call got closer, the normal, more level-headed chairman of the board were like,
what are you doing?
There's no point in updating them because we're not going to be able to build it this year because we're chip constrained and we're apparently not battery constrained anymore, which is kind of a big milestone.
Yippee,
but we never had too many batteries. That's a new problem. I'm just like, something must have changed last minute. Otherwise, I don't think Elon would have replied with that answer.
So,
or do you think he was lying?
I wouldn't say he's lying, but Elon's gonna Elon, and this is not the first time he told us something for it to just not come to fruition. 2 weeks. So
FSD,
man, I think
if I had a dime for every time Elon told us something was going to happen and it didn't happen, I would be richer than him.
Whoa. Wow.
I don't think so necessarily. I think you'd maybe have a good piggy bank of change. But
Mike and his pennies.
Oh, God.
Mr. Musk is the techno king. Also,
yes.
But on paper, he's the techno king. Some would see that as the CEO, and that it's my struggle is that he's Elon freaking Musk. If I'm going to say so, I'm going to send a tweet, or I'm just going to do it because it's my company, and that's why people keep choosing me to lead Tesla forward. So if somebody said, I don't think it's a good idea, I mean, Cybertruck already leaked online in every sense of the word, of videos and drone footage and anything.
Leak is an understatement. It was freaking like pipe fracture. The whole pipe burst. Water was everywhere. Everyone was taking pictures in front of it.
Of Steve Jobs going to Xerox and saying, hey, this is cool, and then just blurting it all out. People are like, hey, this is cool. Filming everything. So, I mean, to act like Cybertruck, what's that? Come on. Like, we he knows we've seen it. And my theory overall, I don't think he was told not to talk about it. I think that legally he was bound to realize that what he wanted to talk about, maybe after he's getting his notes together, here's what we're going to talk about legally, per like when you're with doing these calls.
Yeah.
Did the middle of my statement interrupt the beginning of yours, Nick?
No.
Okay. Cool.
Just everything about you interrupts my train of thought. I just get lost in your
How
eyes.
rude of me, Nick. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I think something legally I don't know what it is, but he avoided it like it didn't exist, and that would be kind of
like
the plague.
Like the plague. It's uncharacteristically like muted about it, especially when he said like 2 days prior, like earnings call, you know. And either way, I mean, I'm just frustrated that we just got 2 weeked.
I felt clickbaited. That's what I felt.
Yeah.
The amount of hype there was, I didn't understand why he was on the call. Like, he admitted in the past he's got more things to do and he's busy and he wasn't going to be on the earnings calls anymore. He went one call without it and then was like, no, I got to be back for this one. Comes back. FSD's almost done. It's going to change everything. The bot is amazing.
Energy storage is the future.
It tells us a bunch of things we already knew.
No new products this year.
No.
Is it?
He could have just pulled a Model Y event out of his cap and just recapped all the products again, just like the Roadster. Remember this? We started this, and then we went to the Model S. He could have done that.
In 2012, we brought you the Model S.
He could have done that.
Are you getting it?
Are you getting it? No new products 10 years later.
Right. I mean, do you guys think this was the wrong decision for them to not prioritize the truck?
I mean,
no.
As much as I love the Cybertruck and want to get my grubby little phalanges all over that thing in more intimate ways than you can possibly imagine, I really can't. I really can't imagine.
Okay. This is a great time. Congrats. Have a good time, everyone. We'll catch you next week.
We just got demonetized on our non-monetized YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Welcome to the new channel, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think we mentioned that.
Hey.
I know. Hello. This is
Hey, everyone.
That's why it felt so weird in here. I was like, there's like some kind of new fresh, and it's like when you get in a new car, it has this new car smell. It's like this new channel smell.
It's those
like,
Nick and Sweeney
yeah,
photos behind you.
It smells
We
like
have a
0
new
subscribers
smell.
is what it smells like.
Something smells.
Sorry.
I'll just say that.
Sorry, I had Taco
I have
Bell.
several questions for everyone, I guess. Like, okay, first, did everyone make their piece on, are we all in agreement Tesla made the right decision by delaying this truck as hard as it is?
Yes.
As hard as it is, yeah. Mainly because
Okay.
we still have an ongoing bet that it was not going to deliver this year.
When was it last year?
My pride is still intact. That I still am always I'm a pessimistic voter.
Now I'm going to be overly pessimistic on all Cybertruck timelines. But my next question is, Nick, do you still have your Cybertruck reservations? Because I haven't talked to you for a while.
No, I don't have a Cybertruck reservation. I have 3.
You've refunded. Oh, so you've still kept. You haven't
kept
asked.
them all.
Not even the single motor. You're like, no, there's still a chance.
I don't. Did
No.
you just Starlink there?
I think you just Starlinked.
Okay, good.
But
I
no,
was
you still
like,
got
I'm not
your
on
3.
Starlink.
Anyway.
No, it would be me.
Okay. So
I'm not even on Starlink.
That's
I'm
the
talking to you
gross
guys.
part.
Starlink.
I'm talking to you guys over cellular.
Starlink has just infected his whole life.
I'm offended.
Speaking of which,
I've kept my reservations for a few different reasons. Number one, I love the Cybertruck, and number two, I'm not really sure what the actual plan is going to be, and I think until then, it's best that I just don't change anything and see, what grandfathering happens or what grandfathering doesn't happen, or just see. I'm just waiting. So we'll see.
Even the single motor. You're
Yeah.
still saying there's a greater than 0% chance of the single motor happening.
I would say there's a greater than 0% chance that the single motor reservation will be useful. whether that's to get
Wow.
a single motor or to get a dual motor or whatever it ends up being at some point.
How much higher than 0 are you thinking?
As Elon would say, it's a non-zero number.
Sort of.
It's not
The
zero.
order of magnitude.
But it's also
greater
not
than-
high.
It doesn't hurt Nick to hold on to it because it's only $100 non-refundable.
Exactly.
Or is it refundable? I totally forget if it is.
It is
refundable.
It's refundable.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not help.
It's practically worthless in Tesla's eye.
Yeah, but
I'm
Nick gets to
practically
see it every
worthless in
day,
Tesla's
or
eyes.
however often he looks at it, and say, "Yes, I've got a what's it called? A reservation for this trim that will probably never exist, and no one else can
Okay.
get it anymore."
But you know what?
So that's interesting.
You know what I really should have spent more money on though? Like I realized the fact that we have $100 Cybertruck reservations, but I really, really, really should have gotten more reservations in for this very, very beautiful. Come on,
The suspense
why are you
is
not
killing me.
focusing there? It's not focusing.
Yeah.
Oh, I saw
Trying
it for a
so
second.
hard.
Pull your hand back a little bit.
There
There we
There
go.
you go.
Yay!
Wow, it's so
For
small.
For audio listeners, Nick has the cyber whistle. Did you pay for it in Doge?
I did not pay for it in Doge, unfortunately. What?
Of course,
what
because
a-
you're going to hold on to all your Doge.
Yeah, so Doge is so valuable. Like, folks, like Doge is literally going to go to the moon, and so if you
There's Nick's investment advice of
yes,
the week.
you can sue me on that. Actually, please don't. Talk to your financial professionals. Yeah, so I woke up
Oh my
one
God.
morning, and I was like, you know what? I really need to spend $50 on today, not a whistle. And then in the evening, Elon tweeted cyber whistle, and I said to myself, do I need a whistle? No.
Never in
Do I
my
need to
life
spend
have I wanted
$50?
something so
No.
bad and never knew
But
it.
do I want a cyber whistle? Hell yeah. So I got one.
Absolutely. Have you blessed it with your supple lips?
I
you
have blessed it with
good
my supple lips. And let me tell you, the sheer pitch
God we're
and
not
tone
monetized.
out of this is just
The sheer girth.
unheard of. It's
Oh my
beautiful.
goodness.
And let me tell you,
We're
this
still
cyber
monetized
whistle,
on the.
We're still
This-
going. How many inches is it?
Let's go.
pulls out tape measure.
I'm going to guess 2.5.
Size doesn't matter, folks. It's about the pitch and the tone and the regular pulses of the modulation.
What note is it? What note
Note?
is the cyber whistle? Is it F,
It's
like
probably
all
a sharp,
car horns?
whatever it is. It's a very sharp note.
Let's hear it.
All right.
For the audio listeners.
We've got a
do the cyber
whistleblower on the
whistle.
podcast, by the way.
There you go. It's very
It's not
annoying.
bad.
The cyber
Okay.
whistle is very annoying. But is it
That was even you
whistle?
blowing it with all your might. So technically, like,
Oh, I don't want
I
to break
don't
all the
know.
glass. So
does it signal starships or cybertrucks to come to your location? Is
All
it
of
like
your
an elk
might.
whistle or an elk call? But
My
instead it
dog
says-
just tilted her head when Nick did that.
is it a dog whistle? Oh dear.
She went.
It's a Doge whistle.
Doge whistle. I see.
Okay.
Kika coin.
So Nick has
Hey, baby.
his reservations.
and a Cybertruck
And-
whistle.
The biggest change, I would say, for Randy since the last EV podcast is you're now on beta. It's finally happened.
I can feel it driving me everywhere now.
I thought he was rickrolling us.
Oh no, I was doing Phil Collins.
He's no stranger
I
to
need
love,
to
though.
know. Right.
We're no strangers to driving. Dude,
I need to know how the beta has been for you.
first off, very last second of 2021,
You did get. I was right. You got it. You
by
got
a
it last year.
technicality.
By technicality.
I
yeah.
was so frustrated that I knew I had an update pending while I was gone for Christmas, and I was like, oh man. And by the time I got home, I checked it, and it didn't say anything specific. I'm like, I'm waiting. But yeah, then the very last, I think it's the last day or second last day, it just updated. I was like, ah! And it's so much fun. Now, what Mike said, it being confidently unconfident or uncertain or whatever,
Confidently uncertain.
that is perfect description of it. It speeds up when it's trying to get onto an on-ramp, like on a side street going onto the freeway. and I have a roundabout, it speeds up, and each time, me and Brittany are like, and like it has no interest in slowing down.
Sounds like my dad
I always
snoring.
disengage it. I am so. It was. I always disengage it because I just don't want to die that day or any day.
That's a good idea.
That day.
So
specifically.
most of the things that it does is stuff that it was already doing pre the official beta, but I do. My takeaway from the whole thing is I love the UI and it's showing me everything that's going on with the display. It shows me all the new updated like just visualizations and stuff like that. I like that probably more than the actual driving itself because the driving itself is still like jittery, and it's so confused in a parking lot. Like parking lot and lanes is its only weakness. Yeah, it starts. When I realized I was ready to go, I went boom boom in a parking lot, and the wheel just started.
And your head immediately goes into the window.
And it just, I was like, it's a scene from Austin Powers where Dr. Evil's chair's spazzing out. That was me freaking out with it because it just was doing its own thing. So I'm like, okay, you're not smart yet, so I'm gonna train you. So I took it out of it and I started, just driving. But every intersection, it turns flawlessly. Every 90-degree plus turn. I haven't done a U-turn yet. I'm trying to get that. I'm trying to capture that on camera because I've been filming a bunch of when I can, I'll take this camera with me because my phone won't. I'm very careful about what I'm doing because I don't want to get yelled at while it's in the mode because I don't want to get any strikes and then lose my privileges. Yeah. So I am being overly cautious.
Copyright strike.
But I don't want any of that. So I take this camera and I got a little tripod in the back seat. I open it, I sit it down, and I just hope for the best. And the footage is bad at best, so I'm still trying to get the footage right. I need to have another person in the car with me, so I'll probably me filming by myself, it's just not working. So someone else has to film for me. But in the process of doing all that stuff, the streets are clean turning every time it's turning into something. It's good at reading traffic and anticipating the stop and go and trying to speed up for me. And it will be panic attack inducing every time it's trying to go onto the freeway because it just starts to bolt it because it thinks, oh, now I can go to 65 or 70 miles per hour when I'm on a side street that is 35, and it starts to go and it starts going. I'm like, every time it always does that. So it's getting there.
Have you had any no intervention drives, or do you need to intervene pretty much every time?
I intervene every time.
Okay, got it.
100% of the time I have to do something. But it is still, I'd say, at least 3 times better than what it was 2 months ago. In the sense of that, what it is offering to do, besides lane changing and all that on the freeway, the fact that the moment it gets off the freeway and it starts to open up the map on the screen, it shows you all that stuff and it's showing you what it's trying to do. It's anticipating its next move as the wiggly line does its thing, and it's like, oh, where are you going? It's going that. Okay, so it goes that way.
I like when it can't decide if it wants to turn left or right, and the line is going swish back and forth.
Why can't we even play Warp 2, man?
Right now, I have a stop sign when you leave the apartment complex here that will take you to the main street. That stop sign has been converted to a street light, an intersection light. Right now, today, the lights are up, nothing's turned on, and there's also a stop sign. My car has no idea what the hell it's doing. It goes up, it sees the stop sign, but it sees the light, and it's registering both, but the light's not on, so it just goes... It doesn't know. It brakes go. Yeah, it goent. So it's really confused right now. But to be fair, I'm just as confused. I'm like, what the heck? What's going on here? So that's fun. That's fun and annoying. But it's being cautious when it needs to be, but then sometimes it's being a jerk on other times. The thing is, unlike you, Mike, I'm sure Mike has a population of like 1 million in his area.
Exactly 1 million in his house.
I have a population.
You just can't
of,
see them.
They're dust mites, but there are 1 million.
They're all behind the camera. I have a population of like 7, so
Right.
it behaves a little bit better, but around those 7, it's a jerk. It's just mean. It has no problems cutting off people. And then I realized that's my setting.
What I ask everyone on the beta is, has it changed your perspective of, level 4 or level 5 autonomous driving, or did it reaffirm what you already were skeptical of?
Today, I'm still skeptical.
Okay.
I'm skeptical
So
in the sense that
didn't change your mind.
It's not level 5. I don't think anything.
We're far from that.
Yeah,
Not even close.
level 4 today, no. Level 4 and a couple.
No, it's still level 2 at this point.
Yeah. So in the sense of that, like, are we moving to the next level? No. This is the struggle that people have for being an early adopter is the wait. You hurry up and wait, and we are so far from a final product, and I acknowledge that. I give a lot of leniency maybe where I shouldn't, but then where I'm like, no, absolutely give leniency here because it's a beta. I just feel that like we shouldn't talk about Tesla in Elon time. It's not, robotaxi isn't a thing, and everything next year. Like, no, it's not next year. It's not next year.
Yeah, literally that many times.
Yeah. That's where I'm like, that's where my skepticism is. Nothing about this stuff is next year. We have advanced so far just from when I got the car 2 years ago. So, now 2.5 years ago. So, the advancement in that is noticeable in the sense that the software is learning and the driving has become smoother and the user experience is cleaner for it. But the fundamental wheels on the ground moving, it hasn't really changed that much. And I credit part of me as a beta tester. I err on the side of caution more than screw it. What's gonna happen? Like, I don't want to strike. I don't want to lose my thing. So I am very passive in the driving experience now, and I'm still brainwashed about keeping a certain distance, even though I know the update took away the beta score about unsafe following and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
I don't like getting close to anybody in any car now because I'm that like trained. So it's little steps overall. In the 2.5 years that I've had the car, this much change, but since Tesla has been around, say Model S that are capable of driving, it's this much. So we're moving forward, and that's the important part. We're not standing still and we're not going backwards. Everything is moving forward. So I'm being like about that size.
Measured in inches
about that size
per month. That's how much we're moving
Mike pulled
forward.
out a tape measure.
And I'm okay
audio
with that.
listeners.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna narrate everything going on visually now.
Nick
Mike is
smiles
wearing a
awkwardly.
hat backwards.
I'm also
Randy
wearing
looks
a
aggressively into
Kettleman
the camera.
City shirt. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
I share a lot of Randy's skepticism with the FSD beta. Recently, it's been on and off with me in regards to this is amazing or this is terrible. It's like babysitting a teenager while they're driving. It's tough. I will say though, I've said in the
I would
past.
say tween.
Yeah, I'd say though, with what I've said in the past on this podcast about this one turn that's near my house, it's slowly mastering that turn. It used to be where it'd miss it. I think I told you guys, like, it would just miss the turn and then it would go try and make a U-turn and come back and just try to take the right turn and it would still somehow miss it. It's now able to go over the yellow line properly. You're not technically supposed to, but I mean, the yellow line doesn't stop and it's a turn off, so whatever. That's how you're supposed to get into my house.
I don't know how else you could do it. Yeah,
exactly. But it can do it now, and so I think with time, it's going to get better, regardless. It just depends on how better it will, depending on people and how they train it. Where if they're training it good things or bad things. Recently, my Y is now going into the shoulder or the bike lane, basically, on this one off ramp to turn right, which I never taught it that, or I never did that. Someone else probably did on that route. And now in the new update, it's now going off the road, almost like onto like the curb that leads to dirt. It's getting pretty close to that. And every time I hit the button saying, no, this is wrong, let's not do this, and nothing's changed. Though I do have the new update waiting for me that, what's it called? The famous update, I guess, in a lot of the FSD Beta testers' eyes, where the California stops are no longer available, where the car can no longer ease through a stop sign at 2 miles per hour. So I'm a little bit reluctant because I kind of like that feature.
Yeah, I didn't understand their logic there at all. Especially if you looked at the software context of all the things that had to happen in order for them to do a rolling stop. I believe one of them was like no other cars are at the intersection. And I was like, I guess most drivers should be, recalled or considered dangerous if rolling stops are that concerning.
Recalled.
That we need to recall the beta.
All human drivers.
Because I was like, everyone does that here all the time. And I personally do not think it is dangerous. I think it's a feature, It's like it
is a feature. It's written there.
It'd be one thing if they were just like plowing through, like not slowing down at all at stop signs. Like that's what they made it sound like in all the articles. They were like, Tesla has a feature in FSD Beta where it doesn't stop at stop signs. I just picture it going like 60 miles an hour through the intersection.
It's like, no, with plaid mode, we can get through the intersection before the other people can, so it doesn't matter.
It's true, you wouldn't get hit because the Tesla is just so fast, so there's no problem. But no, they were like, it does it at 2 miles an hour when no one's there. I was like, okay, not that bad. As far as I can tell, at least footage-wise, I have not seen a reported accident on the beta. I have seen people report stories claiming of a crash, but the stories don't sound right. Like someone was saying that the car overpowered them. Like they were trying to correct it, and the steering wheel moved harder than they could control it, and I was like...
Are you drinking your milk, sir or ma'am? It sounds like you need to go to the gym or something like that. No.
It is incredibly weak, that steering wheel.
It's pretty easy.
It's so easy to overpower.
Something that people have asked me that I think I can say with a little bit more confidence now is FSD worth $12,000 today?
Oh. Well, I wonder if it's different from your last answer.
So
at $10,000.
Now it's completely worth it. Now it's exactly double what he pays for it. He can recommend
say you
it
get
because
$12,000 out the door right now, and they gave you all the features that are possible right now, and you're enrolled in the beta. I did some math. As opposed to doing a subscription of $100,
it's 5 years.
10 years now.
Well, $100 if you paid for enhanced autopilot, but not that many people have. I'd say, given it's not been an option in the U.S. for years, and you can't get the beta in Europe, which is where there is enhanced autopilot, I consider the $199 to be more standard because that's what's actually here.
So, 5 years of constant driving. Context of Elon saying that like people still underestimate the full capabilities of this. You know, you got to see it to believe it type of a thing, and we keep on increasing the price when there's like a minor update of a beta that's being rolled out. I don't know if that's what we have to correlate with. The 12,000 is what people should be paying, but if you are keeping the car for at least a decade regardless, the sooner you buy it, the better off you are if you plan on having this car long term. People who are leasing it and treating it like a tech consumer, a consumable product instead of a vehicle, and you have no intention of holding it longer than a couple years, never pay. I wouldn't even say pay the $6,000. Yeah, do subscription everything, because the subscription, you don't own it. You're not going to own the car, so what difference does it make at that point? Don't buy something so permanent for something that's so temporary for you. But
interesting. Sounds like you're saying it's worth it at $12,000.
It's worth it. Having time to kind of sit and think about this. People who plan on holding the car a long time, and I don't see myself as one of those people, to be honest. I think of people who I used to work with back in San Diego that have their old 2013, 2014 Model S still. They're like, dude, I'm not getting rid of this thing. This is perfect. I'm like, is it because of the supercharging, or what's incentivizing you to hold on to it? They're like, because there's nothing wrong with it. Like, that's their mindset. They're not seeing it as a tech. They're like, because it gets me from A to B, and it's an EV. Yeah. And
they're normal human beings.
Oh God, what's it like to be still, plugged into the matrix, blue pilled? Just like, my day to day is fine. It takes me. I have enough juice.
My iPhone 6 still works. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I have enough juice to go to the store, pick my kids up from school, go to work, and all that, and all round trip it, and I'm ready to go again tomorrow when I get home and I plug it in. And I'm like, man, I'm over here like, if it drops to 250, I'm done. And these guys are like pushing 119 or something like that on a good day, and they're like, oh yeah, this is perfect. And that's their mindset. That's why these are the same people that are okay buying non-Tesla EVs, because in their minds, like, no, it does everything that I need it to do. They don't care necessarily so much about FSD, maybe some type of SD, but not a full one. They don't really care. And that mindset to me tells me then that if you take it to the next step up, when it comes to people who want a little bit more out of a newer product, a new vehicle, with a Tesla specifically, get the full self-driving. If you're that, which I think a lot of people are going to hold on to these EVs. I would only think that people get rid of their Teslas early on when, if they bought it outright, or they're making a payment towards it, but they're not leasing. If they bought it and then they would trade it in, either they bit off more than they can chew and they can't afford the monthly payment, they hit something in their life that requires them that, like, no, I can't keep doing this anymore. And in that sense, the next person is going to be one lucky person to have FSD to the vehicle then at that point. So I don't know a scenario where I can say don't get FSD if that's any remotely an interest of yours. However, now all that to say, going back to what we're talking about, what the issues that we kind of see with software right now, I don't subscribe to the thought of pre-orders. I don't like pre-orders when it comes to like video games, for example. You're giving a company money for a product that's being promised to you, and that I just fundamentally have an issue with.
Well, isn't that fundamentally what all products are? I mean, even when you go to pre-order an iPhone, you're being promised this device that may or may not work.
At that point, we know things are being, when it comes to an iPhone, that's already in the assembly line. It's already done. Now they're just built. They need that time to kind of build up. If pre-order starts 1 week before shipment, that's not a real pre-order. That's like, oh, just get in early to get it on same day when it officially launches. Okay. Pre-ordering a Cybertruck years before we even see a Cybertruck, that's a pre-order that I don't really subscribe to. But that's why I technically didn't do it. Brittany did. Like,
I was gonna say, your wife does.
Because I don't subscribe. I didn't do it for the Model 3 when I could have in 2015, 2016. I could have done it. I didn't, because I just don't. I don't trust unbaked products. So in this sense,
but you did buy FSD.
And the thing is, I thought software would be handled differently at the time. Ask Randy in 2019. I was drinking the Kool-Aid, and I thought software was going to be mitigated differently. Now, seeing how software is kind of handling the same way we're seeing the hardware of Tesla, I would have rethought the situation. But at the same time, I bought it. I bought it at the time because it was only $6,000, and the rebates were going away at the time. They were dropping rebate amount. So I was in that position. Only think about half of what it is right now. That blows my mind because it's not double. It's not double the value of what I got 2.5 years ago. So that's why it's like you're paying double for what I paid at the time, and it's significantly minuscule how the updates are. If anything, I have a better product because I have the enhanced autopilot. That's better than the FSD still.
Do you think at some point this one-time purchase price is going to get so big and like unreal that people just don't think of it as a separate purchase and they just think of it as a part of the vehicle that they purchase? And I imagine we're kind of already at that point. I'm sure lots of buyers are just like, oh, I'm going to get a Tesla. It's going to be, expensive. And when they're going through it, they just add in full self-driving and lump that into the loan and don't even think about it. Because I remember you, Randy, you didn't get your Model 3 with full self-driving on it. You bought that separately. And
I bought it separately.
And you totally can still, but it's $12,000 now. Still was $6,000 before, which is a lot for a software update for sure. But I feel like at least back then it was like kind of in the realm of reasonable possibilities to say, hey, I'm going to get the car and then see how I like it and then add this on as a one-time purchase. Whereas now it's kind of just becoming this huge lump sum that not as many people would just pay it in a lump sum and then gets factored into their monthly cost over, the 20 years that they'll be paying this car off because they're so freaking expensive.
Your shift in that of talking about, you're right, I didn't buy the software immediately, and I did that intentionally because it was so low that I could put it on a credit card, and I just wanted free money. I wanted the cash back of it, and I used that to actually just pay down, because I when I bought the car, anybody who's not aware, I did not buy the car outright day one. I took out a loan, and I bought FSD separately on my credit card, and I used that to start paying down the loan. I paid off the car very quickly, but I did it all in the sense of like, I was gauging it, but because you can separate the payments of it, I rather get free money back on a credit card instead of using a loan. $12,000. I don't even know if I'm sure I do. I think I have maybe one credit card that would max it out, but I wouldn't do it now. Yeah, I would just. The strategy changed because now, like you said, rolling into a loan, now you're looking at it as like, it's just an additional thing that you would add on to a mortgage or something.
Exactly, and at that point, you've disassociated the price with the price. Yep. It's the same problem that you have with iPhones, right? No one knows how much they cost anymore. It's just $40 a month or whatever that just disappears from your account every month. And it's going to be that same mentality. So they're going to keep raising the price as far as they can, $20,000, $25,000 for this FSD thing, because it's the difference between $200 a month and $300 a month or whatever the monthly works out to be, which feels a lot more manageable for a lot of people, I'm sure.
And I don't encourage that line of thought personally because that's shady, like car dealer mentality. Like, well, how much can you afford a month? No, how much is the vehicle? Don't worry about how much I can afford a month. The amount of time I was always asked, well, how much can you afford a month? I like we're not doing that. We're not doing that question, and it starts to roll into we go into that territory of we'll just write it off, and on one side it's doing me and Mike wonders of preserving the value of our car if we ever needed to sell, because we've just artificially inflated the value of my Model 3 at least by $6,000 for me for what I paid. So I'm already net positive regardless.
No, it's a great way to preserve resale value. I agree with that.
But even though I'm on the right side of that stick, I just don't. I feel dirty about it because it's not. It's I don't know.
No, that's a good side of the stick to be on. Yeah. But I'll bump up a little bit and say that I am planning on owning the car for more than 10 years, and I'm not planning on paying for full self-driving because I would rather. Here's my counteroffer. Make trade. My counteroffer is subscribe as you need it. I believe that for my lifestyle, at least, it might be different for others, but for my lifestyle, there will absolutely be months where it's not necessary. Yeah. If we're taking a trip somewhere, especially if it's overseas and you can't take the car with you, And if that's the case, the car is going to be sitting in a garage or sitting away from you, and you're not going to get much use out of it. So I don't see it as like $200 a month every month of the year, every year for 10 years. I see it as like maybe every other month for, however long it takes. And even then, if it takes 10 years to hit that break-even point of some kind where you've spent as much on the subscription as it would have cost to pay outright, if I had a spare $12,000, I would have rather put $200 towards the subscription, invest $11,800 in stock, and see how that appreciates over 10 years. And the only thing that really scares me about locking it in with the car, especially because it's not tied to your account or you can't transfer it or anything, it's stuck with the car. If something happens to the car, God forbid, I don't want I know it's safe. I know it's got lots of safety precautions, but I've seen people in Teslas get in accidents all the time that are not their fault, and insurance, as far as I can tell, is not willing to recoup that cost, especially if you paid a certain price for FSD and now 5 years later you get in a car crash and FSD is $20,000. Do you think the insurance is just going to eat that? No, they're not. Of course not. They're going to be like, no, we'll get you the same kind of car, but you got to pay for FSD all over again if something goes wrong. Which is why, for me, with our investment, we're trying to be like not pouring in unnecessary money if there's way to access that software otherwise. I think personally the take rate, at least from the data I've seen of people like sampling, the take rate of FSD is not insanely high. I mean, I don't think it's over 30% of most Teslas ordered. So I think that eventually, if they keep raising the price like this and it becomes so hard to digest for people and there's still a subscription option, Tesla's going to eventually move all FSD to a subscription or by the mile. If you plug in a destination, it brings up a little button that says, I'll drive you here for $6. And it just, the business side of things is always about like getting the number as small as possible in front of the consumer, right? And they just, they abandoned the free supercharging for life. Even on $140,000 Teslas, you have to pay for supercharging. And they're changing the way supercharging gets charged in the sense of like the billing is higher for the higher charge speed instead of it just being by the mile or anything. It's like how long you're charging at a certain rate. That's what dictates the price. So depending on what the take rate is of 12,000, and I think Tesla goes through a science experiment every time they raise the price. I'm thinking the FSD is mostly flatlined until they announce a price raise, and then they get a huge spike in orders. And after every one of these prices, they're seeing a different size spike, and they're testing the waters basically to see how much money can we collect? Because 10,000 sounded crazy until they announced the 12K, and then it was like, oh wow, only 10,000. So how many times can they get away with that before everyone's like, nah, I can't justify it? So yeah, I'm planning on owning our car for a very long time, but I still don't think it's worth buying outright just because when you're talking in that long a term, you got to compare it to how the market performs when you talk about capital investment of that size. It's like I would rather just throw 11 grand into the stock market, and especially Tesla stock, and just see how that does after 10 years.
That is a very very valid point, and I completely forgot about the accident scenario. That's very true.
That scares me. I'd be worried to pay $12,000 for FSD, and then you get in a car accident like 3 months later, and that money's just gone now. You don't get it back.
That's annoying because it gets worse the longer you own it. Mine's double. I paid $6, and it's like, oh well, it's now 12, and like insurance is like, oh, too bad, so sad. That's the longer you own it, the worse it becomes, and that's a weird reverse thing right there. I think your thought process on even like that, or the theory that there's a jump when there's an announcement and each jump is getting smaller. I don't think we're going to see another substantial jump that there would have been when they went to 5 digits, when they went to 10 grand. That was the biggest jump. They're like, it's about to hit 5 digits, because visually that does something to you when you see,
it does.
Whoa.
They weren't even doing 9,999, they were doing
10,
right at
because that does something to your brain. Where like, I don't want to pay or because now you're pushing buying used car numbers now. Like you could buy used cars.
That's four of my current.
Yeah.
That's four of my current car.
But if you want a car that has AC and something that's from
it has AC.
You have AC. All you have to do is open the windows and you're good.
Heyo.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate that car so much.
Yeah, that's what I'm nervous about if I ever get into a crash with the Y. I'm hopeful that Tesla, since I'm insured by Tesla, that they give me the money back because they know the car. They understand the price of FSD when I bought it. Hopefully they give me back the return in the case, God forbid, it happens. But
do you mean like the price you paid for it, or that they would include FSD on a?
Yes.
Oh, well, because I feel like they'd be at quite a loss in that case, right?
It costs them nothing though. That's the funny thing. Like, it's Tesla insurance. It's Tesla. Tesla's charging thousands and thousands of dollars for a literal flip of a switch and a download. So it costs them nothing to get
and it would bring them business to say, come use our insurance because we'll honor FSD.
That would change my view on it quite a bit if they did.
That would change my
support
insurance
that.
policy. I would look at doing it just to preserve my FSD.
I just haven't seen a case of that happening. Like what you're saying makes sense, Nick, and it's logical, but I haven't seen
Tesla. We
an instance of that.
Guarantee logic, so.
I also thought it would have been logical to let.
Yeah?
I also thought it would have been logical to let people pay for full self-driving before they even got a car.
True.
Like, because I would have opted for that. Like, when it was available for $6,000, I'd like, I'll just pay $6,000 right now and say, like, I can redeem this on one car someday. That's a interest-free loan. Tesla could just get $6,000 and do no work and deliver no product to me. Just to keep that checkbox on my account for one day.
Kind of like honoring your $7,000 for Cybertruck. I don't know that even that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I think
that really makes me worried about the
prediction-
Cybertruck. The fact that
Hey,
First time for
hear that
2022.
Bingo.
First of the year. Wow. Yeah, I think my prediction is it's not going to go well. It's going to be everyone locked in FSD with the tri-motor, and then they're going to decide, no, tri-motor's not good enough. Everyone needs quad motor. And then people go, oh, okay, I'll opt for the quad motor. And then Tesla will be like, wait, you modified your order.
Ooh.
That means you have to pay $12,000 for FSD.
This is where Nick has the advantage because he's got all of them.
It's like a collect them all set. I have all of the Pokemon cards.
Every Cybertruck possible, but this is when they discontinue all the options. They only make the quad motor. Oof. They don't ever make the dual motor or the single motor. It's just like
That'd be very
but
easy.
they'll call it something different. They'll call it the 3-motored Cybertruck and the 2-motored Cybertruck, and they'll be like, it's not tri-motor or dual motor. They're different things.
This one has rear wheel steering, which is a separate tier.
This one has a windshield blade.
One blade, just one. They're gonna have the dual wiper blade, the tri wiper blade, and the quad wiper.
Let's talk
4
about
wipers.
Cybertruck really quickly with the new leaks that we've seen so far. I showed Brittany, and I said, "How does this make you feel?" And she is logically, her first question is this the final version? Like, no, nothing's the final version. She goes, I'll wait until we see something final. I'm like, it's never gonna come. Side tangent real quick. You saw the link for the VW bus. Showed her that, and she's like, oh, this looks boring now because it doesn't promise the inside, like, open space in the cabin that the concept had.
It's all battery. It's probably all the battery pack.
Yeah, this is boring. She goes, it looks cool enough for trying to pull if you're trying to provoke an old nostalgic feeling to it about the hippie times. Cool, but she's like, the practicality of the bus makes it almost completely obsolete to me. It's useless, and because it doesn't offer what incentivized me to want to get a bus in the first place, which was this big open interior. Now it's just
to expand on that, I think Canoe's doing a VW bus better than VW with their lifestyle. Their lifestyle vehicle, they offer 4 different trims. I looked at it, and it's actually quite appealing because you can either get like the delivery, not the multi-purpose delivery vehicle, but the delivery trim for the lifestyle one, and that comes with like this is the regular minivan type of thing. It doesn't come with the windows, but like you get a whole bunch of space back there, and I think it would work fine as a fantastically like beach going adventure car or whatever you want to do with it.
Concept, or is this so far what they're working towards?
This is what they're building. They've got the 4 trims. You can pre-order it. I think that's what they're going with, just because
that seat on the door throws me off.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Because once you get to the second trim, you get the 5 seats in the back, which is like a U shape, but they only offer 3 seat belts, and then you got the 2 seats in the front, so that's 5 people. But then once you go to the next trim, which I think is called Premium, you get 5 seat belts in the back, which means you get 7 people total in there, which is a nice sized van for carting people around. I think I'd buy it. I don't have the money for it. I'd buy it. It's really cool. And then I guess you can upgrade one more time and get the adventure version of it. It's almost like a Rivian like knockoff where you get like a light bar, you get a little carrying
Canoe looks cool.
thing. Canoe is cool. I can't wait for them to come out this year because they say that they're going to deliver this year, kind of like Aptera.
Right.
Very looking forward to seeing what these small startups
I sure hope
produce.
I am so rooting for these guys, not just Canoe, but like these startups. Because they're young, and something about young company energy is you don't know what you don't know, in the sense that you really try to push boundaries to see what sticks, and that's where I feel real innovation kind of pops through about you having to get creative with a certain footprint. You know, you have to meet the dimensions to be street legal, and what you do with your canvas is up to you. Looking at the Canoe van here, that's unique. It kind of off for my taste, but I love the concept of it. I think I've become, as time goes on, more of a Rivian fan of the RT1 than anything. But
guys, you just said the R word.
Rivian? Yeah. Rivian.
I like the Rivian too.
Rivian's looks nice.
I think the
Capicella
the R1S looks more roomy than the bus that VW came up with.
Yeah, but it is bigger though. The R1S is a whole lot bigger than the ID Buzz.
Yeah, that's good.
So of course it's more roomier.
If your goal is to have a roomy interior, then make a bigger vehicle. Do what you got to do, because what they did was make it the same size as the original bus, but eat into all the floor space with the batteries. So it's like now it looks like basic SUV.
It doesn't even look like the original bus.
With ID4 interior.
Did Canoe go public? Are they public?
Who? Canoe? Yeah, they're public. I've got stock. I'm crying.
They haven't done super well in the stock.
I was like, I don't like this.
I've got so much stock, and it's gone down in price, and I don't know when to sell. So I'm just going to hold on to it until they're
Mike
a year
texted
into
me
manufacturing.
a while ago. I don't know if it was during our hiatus, but he's like, Randy, I want to stop, but I can't stop buying EV stocks.
I can't stop. They're such good prices right now.
I wish I could quit you.
We stopped at Canoe. We did Canoe, and then it did bad, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Canoe is a black hole right now, and hopefully it turns into a neutron star eventually.
Oh, did you buy Canoe as well, Drew?
I did. It's not as bad as Arrival. I feel Arrival did far worse. But yeah, I regret it. I'll say that confidently. I shouldn't have.
If you sell it right now at a loss, you can offset your taxes. That's investment advice.
I'd rather just hold on to it.
I might buy more.
About it. I'd rather forget I own it for about 4 decades and then see how it's doing. So
that's my thought process. Except I keep on looking at it and crying.
Hey, listen, if anybody is interested in like doing that, like outside of just Tesla, but investing in any EV stock, like don't make a decision until there's a product before you if you think you bit the bullet, unless you're
even I would say not even after that. Like Rivian did pretty terribly after they started delivering vehicles. The stock went down
a lot.
Are they actually like delivering, or is it still like a controlled release right now?
They're delivering. I'm seeing a whole bunch of them in the Bay, and I think Drew's seeing a few of them in his area.
I saw some where I've seen one where I live, and I've seen on the last time I saw Mike, I got to ride in Beta 10.9. We didn't get to do a video on it because of all the tire annoyances. I don't think we have enough time left in the show to talk about Mike's
We
tire
can cover that
situation.
next week.
Okay.
I love my new tires, by the way, but it took forever to get to the new tires. Anyways.
So they're working.
Oh, yeah, and I still have to go
Okay.
through a sound test because, I guess, long story short,
good.
we
Very
took an
long
audio
story.
test. Long story short, we took an audio test of the original Goodyear tires that came with it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we took an audio test of the intermittent tires that were terrible that I can expand on next week. And then we took an audio test last night of these new tires. And so I'll have the
Okay.
results for that next week regarding how good these new
Gotcha.
tires sound. And if
It's in the lab.
It's in the lab.
lab's testing
The
it right
tables of
now.
lab.
But on the
It's
drive,
just- there's lots of people back there with white lab coats and beakers and test tubes and bubbling.
I do have a lab coat. I can put that on for next
They're
week.
measuring his audio
Finally.
samples.
finally, Goodyear. We
Bad year.
Goodyearium.
Anyways,
Michelium.
you rode in 10.9.
We saw a Rivian on the drive back from Mike's place,
Nice.
and I was like, "Hey, there's one." And then last Sunday, yeah, we were driving around in town and we saw one. So they're, I think they definitely were prioritizing employees. To be fair, they were focusing on people within the company, but I'm pretty. I've seen some videos posted by people who are not employees that have taken delivery. So it's an incredibly low volume, though. I think they've revved up to 400 vehicles a month or something. It's like
They're
it's
getting
better
there,
than
though.
what it,
they're
getting there,
They definitely made it to
but-
1,000 first.
they're at a run rate, I think, of like 10,000 a year at this point. So it's, what's there really?
Well,
if getting there,
well, they're gonna.
it's like
Isn't here just there without a T?
You're not wrong.
yeah.
You are not wrong.
Here's just there. So it's like they're better than what they were, because when they first started, it was like one vehicle a day, which is hardly production. I don't think we should count that as mass production. It's
Yeah.
kind of like advanced prototyping.
That's Bugatti
But,
production.
Yeah, they're at Bugatti levels of production, but now they've revved up higher. I'm not sure if they'll get much higher than that, but that's what I try to remind people whenever they're like, "See, Rivian and Ford, they have this huge advantage over Tesla," and I'm like, just because of the truck
Yeah.
that they're delivering a few of. I mean, it's cool, but
I guess getting back to the original question that you posed, Drew, the new prototype of this Cybertruck that's sitting, I think, in Giga, Texas right now, though it was in Fremont for a while. It's interesting.
Yeah.
I am finding it worrisome and cool that it now has a heads-up display right behind the yoke. It means
that's awesome and scary at the same time.
because it means you can see things. I mean, the one worry that I had is, like, at least in the Y, it's sort of a distance for you to go and reach for something on the screen when you're driving the 3 or the Y. But
Hold the show. Elon Mike. Woo! I was wondering why that was blowing up. Thanks, bro.
Oh my god.
Oh, sorry. Alright.
What?
Can we resume show?
I don't know if we can.
I stopped recording.
I posted a picture this morning.
Wait, did you?
No.
No, I hope you didn't. It's gonna be
No, I'm
prime
just talking
content here.
Okay.
Really? When
I'm
did he
still
like
rolling.
it? I don't know. Cool. Well, I'll take
My
it.
God.
I'll take it. Thanks, Elon. Appreciate it.
Can we breathe now?
Oh, I'm breathing.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike, whenever you're ready.
There's the obligatory Nick interrupting the show for no particular reason in every episode. So we've hit that. I've also said the Cybertruck.
Stop.
Continue, Mike.
Elon just acknowledged something. Oh. Yes. Yes.
that mic is destroyed.
Now you know when to cut to. Well, Nick's editing this anyway.
Yeah.
You can cut it to.
I'll
Whenever
tell it
you're
where-
ready,
where Randy clips all the audio.
Anyways, with this new prototype, it's interesting that they have a heads-up display on it right behind the yoke, because it means that it's into its own different price bracket that is pretty much
Yep.
near the Model S, where it's a big truck,
It's
it's going to
aligning-
cost a bunch, it's got a heads-up display and a yoke, and it's got all these features. And it's hard to believe that something like a single motor Cybertruck is ever going to happen with all these features. And
Doubt it.
even if Tesla did something that they would never do, which is strip certain trim
Stick to
items.
their word.
Strip basically features in the car to attain a lower price range, which they famously not done with the Model 3 because they killed the cloth seats and all that. The closest they got was just software limiting the range. I don't think the Cybertruck's ever going to go as low as maybe that dual motor price. Maybe not even that. Probably hovering around the tri-motor price. But the heads-up display is cool from at least the very brief pictures that we've seen online from the construction guy, and then also some people who are checking out.
That guy is so fired. It is so sad.
He's probably gone.
Dude, oh my gosh. Those two guys walking around the side, like, oh man, I'm like, oh shoot.
I hope he didn't like his job anyway. I hope, like, he was thinking of quitting and then realized he could just gain a bunch of followers at the last second. So,
hey guys, subscribe to my YouTube channel.
That'd be nice, but maybe.
I don't think, like, frankly, it makes sense for him to be fired, but I don't honestly think he is. Like,
really?
Elon talks about, and on the earnings call, they even acknowledge the existence of the prototype truck and people taking pictures of it. And they're like, obviously, our prototypes have been seen on the internet. You know,
I was driving around. It's great.
Yeah, they all acknowledge it. It's not like this NDA super enclosed like prototype thing. Like when the drone was flying over the Fremont factory and videoing the new truck, Elon was tweeting in response to all the pictures saying like, oh yeah, the wiper's not done, and oh yeah, it'll do this. So he's like, he's not like trying to deny the prototype exists and is being driven around and stuff.
We're scarred from the Steve Jobs stuff of like, you have something that belongs to you. Like, that's why we
global
behave
security.
Yeah, it's the guy from Mandalorian. You have something I want.
Moff Gideon.
Moff Gideon, that's right.
Oh,
yeah. So I don't think they care. Like, I genuinely don't think there's that much information about the Cybertruck that isn't already publicly known. That might be a hot take. But I think everything that they have decided on is public, and everything we're asking about has not been decided. Like, we're asking, what are they going to charge for it? You know, like, what are the FSD transfers? Like, they haven't decided all that stuff. Like, how the reservations are going to work, who's going to be prioritized.
Where's it charging from? I still haven't seen it.
It's in the fender.
Oh,
the
you haven't
back
seen
fender.
There's a photo of it somewhere that someone plugged it in.
It was supercharging at Giga Texas, yeah, and I got a picture of it. But it's instead of the big plate in the side, it's like part of the fender just opens up and there's a connector there. It looks kind of weird because it's kind of a narrow fender, but it does have one there. But
so it's still good at backing in then. It'll back in all the same.
I sure hope. I guess the thing that concerns me the most is there were several pictures posted by a certain Spotify podcaster, but the tailgate doesn't fold down into a ramp anymore.
Yeah, I saw that.
That made me nervous. I was like, I hope that makes it to production. Like,
that's
it's gonna bum me out.
That's the higher end model variant.
That's the 6-motor Cybertruck.
I gotta be honest. As crazy as it sounds, I think they might just do quad motor for a really, really long time.
I'd agree with that.
Ooh.
Because
hot take.
Because when I think of Model Y, right? That's our present example of crazy high in demand Tesla that they can't build enough of and they don't have enough chips or batteries for, right? If you do a quad motor and a dual motor, aside from the paint shop being removed, it's still more complicated than the current Model Y lineup. Because Model Y right now, same motor configuration, same size battery pack between dual motor and performance. Those are the only options. And you get some new brake calipers and a spoiler, some different tires, but for the most part, those vehicles are incredibly similar, and Tesla has shown very little interest in diversifying that lineup. So Cybertruck's even worse because the demand, I feel like, is crazy off the charts. At least in the United States. It's not as international. But in the U.S., there's crazy demand for this truck. everyone wants one. We drool at every picture of one that's posted.
Yep.
And Tesla knows every truck they make is going to sell. And the other comment Elon made that reaffirmed my concerns about the price point was they were like, what's the hardest part of Cybertruck production aside from, the battery supply constraints? And his response was, the battery supply constraints isn't an issue. The biggest challenge is making it affordable so that people can actually buy it. And when he said that, the more I thought about it, I was like, that's Elon's way of telling us this is really expensive. And we're not sure if we can get it to a point where people are actually willing to pay for it. So to me, that's why I'm expecting 90,000 or more for the quad motor. Really high range, probably going to end up being 450 or something. And that'll be really good value and really practical, but there's not going to be much of a point in diversifying that production line into making a more affordable option when the demand will be so high. So that's my guess.
You're just making me really worried, Drew. Like, really worried that I'm going to get a Rivian.
Actually, it makes me feel better about buying a normal Tesla because
I can't.
I don't feel like I'm missing out on much.
I can't bring myself to buy a normal Tesla. Like,
I can.
No,
he can and he will.
I can and I will.
And you have.
I need your guys' advice. Actually, I'm really torn.
Advice time.
Get a Y.
Okay, there's Mike's in.
Don't get a Y.
Oh.
Why get one Y when you could get one Y? I don't know. I was trying to make a joke out of that. That didn't work.
Sounds like Nick's on Team Y as well.
What are you torn about, Drew?
I am split between the 3 and Y.
Get the 3.
Considering how little we know about the Y, and I'm so frustrated with this whole Giga Texas thing of not knowing how to order it, not knowing if you can get one, if you want one, I don't know the process of getting one, and I'm not terribly in love with the specs of the current Y.
Are you ready to get something now?
We're coming close. I wouldn't say today, but within the next couple months, with how big the back order is and our goal of taking delivery by the end of this year,
get the 3.
We got. There's Randy's. No. I figured.
No. I can actually make a case for it though, because actually you already made the case, and that's about Texas. Actually, let me make a bigger case overall, and it goes back to the last thing you were just talking about and why I disagree with your Cybertruck prediction. It makes too much sense what you're saying, and everything that we have hypothesized about something has been wrong because it just makes too much sense.
I'm being pessimistic though. I'm saying Tesla's going to do the thing that hurts us that helps them. That's what they're going to do.
I need you to stop thinking like Andrew Erickson, and I need you to start thinking like Elon, because you're making.
That's what he would do, right?
You're making sense of what you're doing, but we didn't get a Cybertruck update on the earnings call. Everything's always the world is up.
No,
every tech, with the exception, I call tech, not social media platforms like Meta, but every tech company reported profits last week, and every stock dropped because it wasn't good enough. Up is down and left is down, so everything's down. Nothing makes sense. Nothing in this world makes sense. So I'm gonna add on to it not making sense and say that whatever's happening in Texas isn't
gonna make sense.
Isn't gonna make
confusing
sense. And if you're
weird.
ready to get something within the
I
next
agree with that.
60, 90 days, you have a better chance of just getting through this confusion bubble with a Model 3. And you'll save money, and your lifestyle dictates that you're not going to be on the road all the time anyway. So cabin space is nice and all, but you're not in the back seat of these suckers. You don't really care. The back seat's going to be for future little Ericssons, and at those times they have time to grow into it as well. So or you have your family or whatever. Like at that point in the next decade or so, you're passenger at worst, or you are the pilot of this beautiful machinery, which you fit in a Model 3, and you're saving money, and you know what you're gonna get when it comes with the Model 3. I agree that it's the best bang for the buck if you get a Model Y, but if we look at what's happening with every single model, they don't slow down on the price increases. I can't afford a Model Y today. I wouldn't want to. I can barely justify a Model 3 today. But if you are in a position of acquiring one, there is significantly really no difference between the 3 and the Y, but there is a price difference on the site. Save money where it's appropriate, because at the end of the day, it's going to do its core function for you all the same. And, all that extra dollars that you save is money invested. That's money earned right there, baby. Yeah.
Good points. I should have expected this. Randy's advocating for the 3, Mike's advocating for the Y.
I'm gonna
All I have to say-
the Cybertruck or the semi.
Yeah, I was going to say, Nick is going to say.
Cybertruck or the
Wait.
semi.
Or the Rivian
4
now or
years-
something.
Nick is going to say, wait 4 years for the $140,000 Cybertruck when it eventually launches. That'll be worth it.
It will eventually launch. Have faith, my MCAD one.
What's your case, Mike?
4680. Revolutionary
How do I
battery.
get
That's
it?
a really good case.
How do I get it?
They already told you in the
they
earnings
didn't.
call. They said Giga Texas is delivering vehicles to the eastern part of the United States.
Hi,
And
that's
Fremont's covering everything between them and Giga Texas. So,
What do I do?
stands to reason you either live with Randy for a couple months and claim that
Hi.
as your
That's right. Randy's on the East Coast. I keep
claim it as your
forgetting.
home, and then order it there, and then
It's not
you
the
get
first
it.
time Drew's come over and taken over my office to work out of,
Yeah,
hijacking my space.
yeah. The only issue is that I think we've talked about this before. There's a mix because Fremont's not just doing up to Texas and then stopping. They're supplying everything in the United States right now.
Yeah,
and Texas
I don't
is gonna
believe
come in
Giga
there.
Texas. Do you think Texas will have the capacity to cover the entire East Coast? Because that's a large market.
Because this is the hard thing. Like, it was easy for me because all I was requesting was a Model Y. I got the Model Y. That's it.
Yeah, there was no.
Your request
That's
is,
what I feel bad
I want
about.
a very particular Model Y, and there's a sea of 2170s that you have to sift through to get that 4680.
Because I'm not in love with that current spec. I should be clear about that. Like the $59,000 Model Y with 330 miles of range is not particularly exciting to me, especially if you're buying a 2170 Model Y like the year before the 4680 Model Y ramps, right?
Yeah.
Like that makes it feel like you're kind of buying the.
There's a line in
the
the
floppy
sand
disk.
somewhere there, man. Listen, you could keep waiting, but you've been waiting how many years now? You could keep
3.
waiting, but at some point, this is the major fallacy of the whole thing. The best time to get a car was 20 years ago. No, I'm just kidding. The plan, the tree thing.
Yeah,
but
no, I feel that way. But
20 years
both
ago.
me and my wife have put our foot down and said, like, we've been talking about this for too long. We've
Yeah.
been like kept doing this waiting thing for
Yeah.
too long, and so we're not budging. So far, at least, we're not budging on
your
the,
lifestyle
on the-
does not depend
get
on
the
the
vehicle
26
this year.
or the 2160 or the 4680. Like, it doesn't depend on that. You're that's not your lifestyle, regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cool to have the extra stuff? Sure. Is it cool to have the extra storage capacity on an iPhone? You're gonna hold on for more than a year? Sure. The lifestyle does not dictate that, though. At the time of purchase, you can only make
Lifestyle
it
today, yes, you're correct. But
But-
if I'm holding on to it for the 10,
10 years?
20, 30 years, probably longer.
So
10 or go ahead.
That's the debate.
I was gonna say, here is an idea. It's gonna sound very expensive and very blasphemous, but you might get the best of both worlds. Go ahead, order a standard range, or I guess standard range doesn't exist. The rear-wheel drive Model 3
right.
with whatever configuration you want. With I'd suggest Arrow rims because they are the coolest looking rim.
Of course. No,
And
I
then
hate the sport wheel.
Get whatever if you want black or white. I think black will make you wait for a month or two longer.
Yep.
But if you do that, you're guaranteed the LFP battery, which is interesting, has significant advantages in the in many ways. I'm not too sure. I'd have to look into it short term and long term and dedicate some time and effort into it. But they do have their advantages. You can charge it up, and it's already being made. You know it exists.
I like that.
It's easy to get.
If there was a LFP Model Y, this debate would
Yes,
be
yeah.
over.
But there's not.
So quick.
But
there's not one. God dang
if you're
it,
waiting,
China.
if you are absolutely drawing a sand in the line that you want a Tesla
Sand
this
in the
year,
line? My goodness.
Yes, draw
I really
sands
want to
in the
know how
line.
it actually pulled the show again. How do we
You can
even
draw sands in a line.
line?
You can draw sands in a line. Have you seen Encanto?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
Everything hurts.
anyways.
I don't support the Disney monopoly.
Okay. Well, here's my. So, if you're going to get a Model 3, or sorry, if you're going to get a Tesla this year, get the LFP
Yes.
Model 3. And then,
Ooh.
if you're still not happy or you're still enticed by the 4680 batteries, if you've got the money, which I think if you've got the money for a Model Y, then you probably have the money to get a Model 3 plus the full self-driving. And then it retains its value. And then what you can do later is order a Model Y, exchange this LFP Model 3 for that Model Y with 4680s.
So you're saying sell it or trade it in or something?
Either or.
Later?
It's around the same price. But you can enjoy FSD, enjoy LFP, and then whenever 4680s are more concrete in like how to obtain them, either by living in the eastern half of the United States or something else,
Yeah.
then explore that option.
I hate how much sense that makes. Because I've always been like fundamentally against that. I don't want to be the car collector guy. I don't want to be the guy buying and swapping and switching to this and this and this. I just want to get one car because there's enough stress involved in this one process. I don't have to go through the whole selling process and buying all over again. And it's like the wait times, and it's just, it kind of delays part of the problem while solving part of it.
Yeah.
I like it though. Because it means getting to review LFP and then also getting 4680 when it's more clear. And
You get 2 revolutionary battery packs.
yeah, talking with Sawyer about it, I was like, so do you think the range is going to be that different on the 4680 Model Y? And he was like, initially, probably not. They're just going to match it as close as they can to the 2170 so that the Model Ys aren't drastically different. But emphasis on what they said on Battery Day, which is range increase opportunity, meaning over time, as they ramp Model Y and they catch up on demand, they'll be able to increase the range, and then maybe we'll get like a reasonably affordable like 400 plus mile range Model Y, which would be like the dream. I would pay too much money for that one because it's like, okay, now it goes as far as our last car and it's bigger and it's safer and it's everything. No compromises, but I do love iron phosphate, so part of me is certainly like vote with your wallet, you know, support what you want to see, and
Why not both?
the $60,000 2170 Model Y is not something I'm wanting to vote for with my wallet. That's like
Then don't do it. Go for the LFP.
yeah.
As much as it pains me to say, go for the 3. But then that opens up the opportunity to get the Y.
I don't know. It's like you got to convince someone else now. That's the next question.
I use the
That's next
stones
side.
to destroy the stones.
Because I'm definitely on her side of not wanting to go through this whole process again. That I
course.
don't like about that aspect.
And that's the struggle that Brittany, Nick, and my wife are going through right now with the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
Is here's
Yep.
this dumb process of waiting for a vehicle. When's it coming? What's it going to look like? What's the battery look like? What's the range and everything? There's so many questions. And for you, it's like, how do I even get it?
To the point
I know.
of saying
Where
that
do I put my money? Where does the money go?
look at your time factor in the process too. When you're evaluating, only, and Drew, this is only something that I think you're going to say what's worth your time or not. But going through all the leaps and stuff like that for these incremental increases on something that's important to you, you're going to hit that diminishing returns. And is it going to be worth the time and the hassle and doing all that stuff? If you have all the time in the world, then, you know, more power to you, man. Then do what you got to do. And
If we were more patient, we would be waiting forever.
yeah,
as
but
we
that's the
kind
thing.
of
Like,
already
we're,
have
we're
been.
waiting for the dream perfect scenario and what we see in our brain as being the perfect Tesla. But the thing is, like,
It doesn't exist.
It doesn't. I want the
Rip
interior
Roadster.
that Mike has, right? Like, I like that interior. It's not
Yeah.
worth doing this process all over again just to do that. I obviously
No.
want the 4680. It's not worth doing. I want the cooler rim. I want the natural chrome delete satin finish.
Oh, yeah.
I want all that stuff. It's not worth going through all that stuff knowing I can sell at a profit right now, and then maybe do a
Sure.
subscription model of FSD, and I can still walk away with some money in my pocket. My time, like, I don't know, I prioritize my time, and I can't be bought like that. Even if it's like all through a passion project of loving this vehicle, something better is going to come out in a couple years, and that's going to be the new, do I want this or do I want that? It's never going to end. It's the same way we get hooked in tech when it comes to like Apple stuff. It's never going to end. And I accept that for what it is. So the only thing that you can make an educated decision for yourself on, to be like, this is where I put my foot down, is, are you okay with what it is today, assuming this is as good as it's going to be? And this is the you can only live in 2022. You can obviously project 2023, 2024, but you know,
and it'll always sound better.
And it'll always sound better.
Next year will always sound
better. That's the beauty
You're
of tech. It's going to be better tomorrow, but we don't live in tomorrow. We live in today, and this is the price we pay as an early adopter. So, you have to make that decision for yourself. But go with Mike. He said, get a Model 3. You should get a Model 3.
Right. Well, nothing's decided, but you give me good ideas to consider and think about. So I will consume all of your suggestions and see what comes out the other end. Thank you all for tuning in.
Welcome
and I
back.
hope you have an excellent rest of your week. Welcome back, everyone. You should subscribe or something.
Yeah, subscribe to this lovely new channel. See y'all later.
Do it.
Yeah.
Bye.
Don't do it.
Bye.